I think Margot's line that didn't, in the 250 hours worth of footage that was cut down to an 87-minute movie, Margot said, they're going to have to come up with a new system, like a parliamentary system, before I decide to run for office. Something a little bit more than the two-party system at this point. I don't know if you've changed your mind about that, have you?
No, I probably still agree with that. Yeah.
Why did you choose that title?
This title, we call this film a she. So, because she's been demanding bossy and deciding where she wants to go rather than letting us force her where we think she should go. But with the title too, it was very interesting trying to come up with titles. We looked for phrases in the film. The little girl says, run like the wind, which is a metaphor for running for office. And, you know, it sounded too Hallmarky. I mean, we were really afraid we were going to get pegged, and we love, you know, we love after-school specials, and we just needed it to kind of have a little bit more legs and be taken a little bit more teeth. Good, yeah, teeth. And what happened was we saw a cartoon. I can't remember his name because we're all getting older and we're losing our memories. But in Cincinnati, that great cartoonist, political cartoonist, Hillary was sitting at a board with a pointer, and all the women leaders that have run countries. There's like, I think the United States is 71st in the world out of 287 countries in women's representation. And Uncle Sam was looking at her, and she had a frown on her face, and he said, "What's your point, honey?" And it just kind of stuck with us. And it wasn't, you know, really about Hillary. You know, at the end, Marie really says what the most important point of the movie is. It's not about one. The day we have just as many women up there running as men, and it doesn't make sense when we graduate in record numbers, and we're 51% of the population, and what's going on between, you know, the same ears that every guy has, there's no bearing on how far we should be able to go. So it's very interesting and something to discuss ad nauseum, which we've been discussing ad nauseum for 3 years. Any favorite characters? Anything? Oh, yeah.
I love the film. First of all, I thought it was really well put together and interesting and wonderfully. But I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit more about the woman that you called the teacher, the middle school teacher, and sort of what her curriculum was, and how you got in contact with her.
Again, it was access. It was New York City, and it's very tough to get into the schools in New York City. So via research and finding who's doing gender studies or gender analysis classes, which she was doing. I think she had a series of 4 different classes. I don't remember each and every one of them. One being, what was it? Gender analysis was one of them. Then there was...
We went in the 4 months, or the 2 months before they were studying war. And that was very interesting.
But that was part, yeah, she had 4 different... I can't remember exactly. So this was, you know, gender analysis was something that she was bringing to her class. We went in, I think it was 5 or 6 different classes, and just picked through the footage that... And truthfully, the teens, they were the hardest ones to weave in, because truthfully, for us, they serve as contemporary archival footage, if you will. You know, what girls at that age are being faced with, and what they're being hit with. Thus, the Victoria's Secret and this and that, and trying to be perfect and trying to fit a certain model. And so they weren't really, you know, we didn't follow them as characters the same way we would follow these young ladies, but they served as, you know, the punch in the stomach. And, you know, the girl that says, "No, we don't want it to be equal." What do you mean you don't want it to be equal? You don't want to make the same amount of money as that guy over there? It's crazy. So.
We've got time for one more question. Sorry, just to interrupt.
Listening back there.
When was the point for you when you were like, I really want to get this message out? What was the inspiration for you?
Well, we both came to it separately, and that's how Susan and I met, in the schoolyard with our kids. I mean, I had just got done with another film, and Susan was in production for 15 years making commercials. And I said, "What do you want to do?" And she said, "I want to make a documentary about feminism, and I never want to say the word in the movie," which almost got there. And I said, "That's funny, because I had been thinking about it too, way before the prior movie. There was something missing for a long time, and 2 things came to mind. One was my one daughter woke up and said that girls can't ride motorcycles, and I asked why, and she said, "Because I've never seen one on a motorcycle." And so that started me thinking, well, what else do they not see? And then assume is status quo. Same thing for little boys. You know, this is not an attack on men or boys at all. We're all, you know, like Kat's father says, we're readjusting and readapting all the time. And it's difficult for all sides. And then I think the other thing that came up later with Susan and I that really made us dive into it is when we were talking and interviewing the younger kids, none of the girls wanted to be their mothers.
What are they seeing?
They saw them as stressed.
Yeah.
And the first thing
Trying to do it all.
that they removed from the equation, much to my husband who's an only child and my mother-in-law's dismay, was the husband. So they said, I'm going to adopt a baby and I'm going to have a career, be a vet or something, but I'm not getting married. And we thought, whoa, what are we showing them?
Yeah, I mean, there's, exactly.
So, and it's not that nasty, but it was, okay, you can't have it all. So what are you going to do? And how come men are being faced with the same juggling question? You know, but young guys are working it out too. I'm really thrilled with the future generation.
This generation.
What you've done with the green movement, like in 10 years more than any of the baby boomers, they're still sleeping at the top, I don't know, ranting around. But, and then, you know, you can take things and move the internet. You have so much power to do things, and I think you've seen that with getting behind Obama. It's been incredible.
But the numbers, as you see at the end, I mean, it still tells the story at the end where we are, and that's just, you know, and most people don't really know those numbers or think about those numbers, and when you look at them, they're just, it's just distressing.
I think, and then we'll run down to the lobby. I think the reason we focused on politics, because we were thinking about sports and politics and different influences, and the reason we pinpointed politics is it was something, I can't remember if it was Ruth Rosen, the expert in the movie, said to me, she said, well, Marie said, if you're not at the table, your issues are not at the table. So, you know, if a man doesn't have to worry about child care, why would he even bring it up in the boardroom? It doesn't happen, and that's okay, it's not on their radar. So we started thinking if we're at the table, and we have these issues, and we're 51% of the country, we're going to start bringing it up when we're half the table. The other thing is, you know, people say, well, you know, you can't put this thing into the law, not in a capitalistic country, because that you're talking socialism, and I thought, you know, if men had primary, elder, and child care, corporations would keep them on to keep good talent. It should be the same as good talent for women. And Ruth said to me, listen, nobody wore a seatbelt before it became a law. And I thought, right. You know, the minute you present it and kind of say, look, I mean, maybe that gets a little bit too big brothery, but we're all in it anyway already. You know, why don't you present it and say, look, you've got to cover child care. It becomes the norm, and we become like a Scandinavian country, and we're happy. Tonight.